Hello and welcome to Fiction Fans, a podcast where we read books and other words too. I'm Lily.
And I'm Sarah, and today we will be joined by Connor Caplan to talk about, or complain about, the Black Cauldron, the movie based on the first two novels of the Chronicles of Prydain series by Lloyd Alexander.
I'm so excited. I've got so many thoughts.
You and me both.
I feel like you're going to have a lot more like angry thoughts about it, whereas I'm feeling not great, not good thoughts, but very just sort of, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted, don't get me wrong, but I'm not upset.
Yeah.
I have all of the anger that 8-year-old Sarah felt when watching this movie for the first time after having read the books.
This movie was a trauma response for you, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Well, first, shall we have our quick intro questions? What's something great that happened recently?
So Dumpling, who is my trauma pug, she's the traumatized pug that I adopted last year. She slept in my arms last night, and she doesn't do that very often, so it was very sweet.
Aw, snuggles.
I love her.
That's wonderful.
That's adorable. She does sound like Gurgi, I need you to know.
No, that's Cookie. Well, that's both of them playing right now.
Yeah.
It's mostly Cookie being a pill.
They're very Gurgi coded.
Yes.
Connor, how about you?
I'm cheating with two things. I turned 30 last week, so that's a fun little milestone.
Happy birthday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and then to celebrate, we just finished like 2 fucking months of moving house, and it took so long. We're finally at the end of it, and it's like, oh god, finally, I can come up for air now, which is why I'm doing this podcast. This is my celebration.
That is truly wonderful.
Yes.
My good thing is that I figured out the purpose of cropped sweatshirts. I got one as Kesha merch a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, whenever the Raising Hell album came out. And was like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's supposed to keep me warm, but it stops at my ribcage. It turns out breastfeeding. Might not be what Kesha intended when she designed her sweatshirt, but very useful.
That'll do it, yeah.
That does sound like a good use for it.
Yeah.
My silly impulsive purchase from my mid-20s is paying off, and it's kind of great.
I've only been, Kira gives me all of her crop sweatshirts, and the only time I ever wear them is if I'm like, well, I kind of want to be warm, but I'm not super dedicated to it.
Right? It's like, it's so counterintuitive.
I know.
Mm-hmm. What is everyone drinking today? I have coffee because it's bright and early in the morning for me.
I have tea for the same reason.
I have coffee even though it is 1:20 p.m. because I felt like the Focalin didn't do enough, you know?
And has anyone read anything good lately?
I read the first 2 novels of the Chronicles of Prydain.
Well, we're about to talk about that, so technically doesn't count.
I also read Warrior of the Altai by Robert Jordan, which I'm not sure I would qualify as good per se. It was his first novel, published posthumously. It's a barbarian fantasy that has a lot of aspects that he later developed in The Wheel of Time, and so very interesting from that perspective. But the plot is not expansive, and it shows even more of his kinks than The Wheel of Time does.
Oh my god, I didn't think that was possible.
Neither did I.
I remember reading that he used to, before he wrote Wheel of Time novels, he would be hired to write Conan the Barbarian kind of novels and everything like that.
I mean, he wrote 7 Conan the Barbarian novels, official Conan novels.
So
this is not one of them.
Stone.
Yeah, this is a novel that he wrote. It sold twice, but for whatever reason never got published. And then it was published a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fair to hold that against somebody. Can you imagine being a well-regarded author and then someone digging through your stuff and finding the garbage you wrote when you were 18 and then everyone gets to read it and judge you for it?
I mean,
Nightmare.
to be fair, this book did sell previously.
Okay, you're right. So not exactly that situation. But I feel that way every time new Tolkien stuff comes out. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if he wanted us to read that.
One of his grandkids is like, oh my god, at long last, that pile of money I ordered.
Well,
That junk truck full of money right here on this PC.
for Tolkien, it was Christopher Tolkien who was publishing all of that, and Christopher
Yeah.
Tolkien was like the preeminent Tolkien scholar. For
Oh,
Robert
that's true.
Jordan, it's his wife Harriet who was also his editor. So I feel like she probably does have a good handle on like whether or not he would be okay with publishing it. It's
That's
definitely
why-
a debut
That's
novel.
why all of his kinks are in the book.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think they were married when he wrote this book
Oh,
initially, though.
that's how he wooed her.
Yes. I mean, she was his editor first, and then his wife.
Oh, that's fun. I like that, honestly. Mad respect for that. That's a great strategy. I love that, actually. The more I think about that, I'm more and more on board with this the more I think about it. That's phenomenal.
Anyway, that's what I read.
I've been moving for the last 2 months, so the only thing I managed to knock out was I've been pronouncing it Prydain, like almost like Britain, like but slightly altered with like maybe an accent mark or something.
I don't know if my pronunciation is correct.
I do like yours though. It does sound fancier.
That's how 8-year-old or 7-year-old, however old I was when I first read the books, earlier than 8, pronounced it. So
That is fun. So I knocked those out for the first time ever, never read them before, and then I managed to read 2 out of 3 of the Dunk and Egg novels because I hadn't read them since I was, 18 or 19. And
that's George R.R. Martin.
yeah. They recently did the TV adaptation of the first one. And I liked it less than I did when I was younger, but it's still pretty solid. Like 3.5 out of 10, 4 out of 10 maybe. Or not 10, out of 5. I was going to say that's not pretty solid. Yeah. No. Like 3.5 or 4 out of 5 is what I would say. As like, which for me is generally, that's pretty good. But like, I like the second one more than the first, which surprised me. I remember really liking the first one and feeling kind of about the second. But it feels like the story is way too big for a novella. It feels like it should have been stretched out to maybe like a 50,000, like a short novel kind of a length. But the second novella is right exactly where it needs to be, and it flows really, really well.
Interesting.
Nice. I started Women and Other Creatures by Danny Finn. It's a collection of novellas and short stories. I really just barely started it, but I'm pretty excited to dive in. It's a lot of kind of sapphic monster romances, so I'm excited. It's going to be a good time.
Sounds like your kind of book.
Mm-hmm. But we're here to talk about the Chronicles of Prydain or Prydain, or, Prydain something. There's some number of syllables in that word.
However you want to
weirder.
Yes, however you want to pronounce it. So we watched the movie. Well, I watched the movie and then complained to Connor about it, and Connor suggested that we talk about it.
I said, should we turn it into content?
But the movie combines the first 2 novels in the series. It's a 5-book series, a young adult series that came out in the mid-60s by Lloyd Alexander, who was an American author. I always thought he was British until 2 weeks ago.
He's from Pennsylvania. That was crazy.
Yeah.
The Britain of New England, really.
But the Chronicles of Prydain are very Welsh inspired. There's a lot of Welsh mythology in there, so I think that's kind of why I had those British vibes.
There's a disclaimer thrown in the version I read where he's like, it draws a lot from Welsh mythology, but if you know a lot about Welsh mythology, do not come at me. It's not a 1-to-1.
Yes.
Calm down.
And this is a series that I read as a child, and it was very instrumental for me. It was one of my foundational series, but neither of you had that experience. And so I was wondering, how did the movie compare if the books weren't formative? Like, Connor, I know you read the books and then rewatched the movie. And Lily, you watched the movie and then started the first book?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember watching the movie, I think, exactly one time when I was a child. It was the last thing we watched before Blockbuster Video went out of business or something like that. That was that little. I can't remember if it was me or my brother being absolutely terrified of the Horned King in the animated version and everything. I fucking love that dude now. Everything about my favorite part of the movie is this freaky motherfucker. I love him so much. And that's the only thing I remembered about the movie whatsoever. The books were the kind of thing I always meant to get to since I was like 17. I didn't read a ton when I was a kid, and then in high school I really, really got into it. And then I was like, that's on the list of all the sort of classic stuff. I should probably read it eventually. And I just never got around to it. And I was like, oh, thank God! Now Sarah's asking me to do it. Now I finally have a chance to get around to this thing that I should have gotten around to when I was a teenager. And it was, it reminded me almost like it's like if Ursula K. Le Guin tried to write The Hobbit a little bit. It's very, very 60s. It's the epitome of 60s fantasy. Very episodic, very just sort of meandering, almost cozy. Like I at no point felt like these characters were in any mortal peril, even though they're constantly in danger. It felt, but not in a way that was like, it's very hard to pull that off where it's like, I don't feel like any of them are gonna get hurt or die, but at the same time, it's this very sort of, it still makes for an engaging read in a way that is very, very difficult to pull off. And I liked it for that. I liked it for it had this sort of unconventional, very sort of, again, episodic pace that I really, really liked, of just going from the next thing to the next thing. Each chapter was a sort of its own sort of self-contained part of an arc in a way that is very reminiscent of 60s fantasy. So I liked it a lot more than I expected to, but it also was not at all what I was expecting when I started reading it.
What were you expecting when you started reading it?
I thought it was going to be a lot more like Tolkien, or I guess it is like Tolkien in the sense is it takes its time getting to places while also sort of going by quickly. With like The Hobbit, it has that sort of tone, that sort of the sort of coziness that also is like adventuring and everything. But I thought it was going to be more. I thought there were going to be more sort of grand armies, and I thought it was going to be more epic. I guess I thought it was going to be more epic fantasy instead of more of a sort of not low fantasy, but like. I thought it was going to be Two Towers Return of the King. It felt more like the first half of Fellowship, if that makes sense.
Yes, I think that does make sense. And I can see that comparison. Again, since I read this way before I read any Tolkien, I always viewed it kind of as its own thing.
I always seen it juxtaposed against Tolkien or like any sort of pieces of classic fantasy. So I thought it was going to be more reminiscent of a sweeping scope. So I think what surprised me is it stayed so tight on Taran and everything. That was what it really stuck with his perspective, and I really liked that. I liked that about it. I think I would have had a more disappointing time if it sort of broadened out a lot more. But I liked how sort of it felt very, very intimate in a way that a lot of 60s high fantasy type stuff doesn't always feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting you're comparing it to Tolkien because I felt like there were some huge similarities to Lord of the Rings, although I think I'm talking more about some of the like archetypes and not the actual like prose and story structure. Like Gurgi, the either wild man or adorable animal companion, depending on which version you're talking about, was so similar to Gollum. And I watched the movie first, and my husband and I were talking like, was this just the people who made the movie trying to like capitalize on Lord of the Rings? No, that's actually how he talks in the book.
That is how he talks in the book. That's definitely not visually how he's described. But
no. But the similarities, like calling Taran, "Oh, master, generous master," and talking in the third person, like so Gollum. And then, are we doing a spoiler section? Should I not talk about the other thing that reminds me of Gollum?
I don't think we're doing a spoiler section.
It came out in the 80s. It's fine.
Okay.
The movie came out in the 80s. The books came out in the 60s. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So Gurgi falling into the cauldron was also very like Gollum falling into Mount Doom. Yeah. There was so much of that. There's also like in the book, there's that whole like don't glorify violence when Taran is like, I want to be a hero. And I think Cole is saying like it's not all it's cracked up to be. That conversation reminded me a lot of Gandalf telling Frodo, like, you wish you could pass judgment on Gollum, but no, you don't, actually. And then also, I don't remember anyone's name, but there's the King of Kings is descended from who?
Gwydion
is the hero.
W.
But he's the war leader. He's not the king though, right?
Maybe I'm getting it confused with later on in the books.
There was a guy named Mordant or something?
Because like kingdom has like the king and then the war leader. Those are like two different titles. It doesn't matter. The family is descended from some family that's like from far away, and I was like, this is very elves, Gondor, Numenor.
Oh yeah.
Um,
When Gwydion was introduced, I specifically remember thinking, this is I'm getting like Glorfindel kind of vibes of showing up in the middle of the forest, being rescued and everything.
You are correct. Gwydion is the son of the High King.
I thought so. Okay.
Yeah.
Not that I know the books better than you or anything.
you have read the Book of Three more recently, or started it more recently.
When watching the movie, I was like, is this just Disney trying to capitalize on Lord of the Rings? But no, reading the book, it's in the book. And now I don't know if it's because so it did come out after Lord of the Rings. So it could have been inspired by that, or maybe they were both just pulling from the same source material. Also very possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's possibly a little bit of both, definitely pulling from the same source material in parts. But I do think that some of the decisions in the movie, like Gurgi being the one to jump into the cauldron, and that framing of he's jumping into the cauldron from up high or falling into it, like I do think that's probably a deliberate call to or call back to the Lord of the Rings, because that's not how it happens in the books. And I'm sure that they were trying to capitalize a little bit on the popularity of The Lord of the Rings. So when I watched the movie as a child, I absolutely hated it because it was so different from the books. And I was a spiteful little thing who hated adaptations that were not exactly correct. And some of that has followed me through to now. When I rewatched it, I got very annoyed because it was so different from the book. And so I had a hard time separating out the movie as its own thing from like the movie as an adaptation. Lily, did you and Danny enjoy the movie?
The animation was a hot mess, and Danny, having a degree in traditional animation, had some opinions about it. So I think that was like a strong theme in our watch situation. It also felt very rushed. And I thought that was, again, interpreting it as an adaptation without having read the book. I assumed that's because they were trying to smash two books together to fit it into one movie. No, the book moves almost just as fast. Like, Henwin running away in the first scene is pretty accurate. Granted, that's about, I haven't finished the other two books, or the other book and a half. But I think overall, it was dated, I think, was the problem I had with the movie. I mean, the book's dated too, but in a very different way. And like, we can talk about some of the villains. I guess, are the witches even villains? Kind of. They're antagonists.
They're definitely antagonists in the movie. In the series, they show up a couple of times. They're antagonists, I would say, in the Black Cauldron, which is the second book. But I wouldn't call them series antagonists. Like they show up and do non-antagonistic things later on.
They defy categorization. I feel like they're like these creatures that are so old, they're sort of beyond morality in a certain sort of way.
Yeah.
The way they were handled in the movie was not impressive to me. And Taryn was pretty whiny. It was just like, it was a kid's movie from the early 90s, like
late 80s.
Late 80s.
So even worse.
It just didn't age well, and that was mostly my opinion of it, I think.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah, I wasn't I wasn't angry with it in the same way that you were, but it was enjoyable in the sense that it's like, all right, cool. It's like fine. It was like the first third I remember being like, okay, I don't see what Sarah's talking about. This seems pretty good. It seems pretty faithful. And I started noticing the differences around the time, Princess Eilonwy shows up? And she was my favorite character in the books, because she's just the most quippy, sarcastic, just constantly taking everyone down, roasting everyone. She's the spirited girl and everything. She's got so much going on. It's great. And then she comes out in the movie, she does like one thing and then turns into like some sort of blushing, giggling schoolgirl who doesn't have anything interesting to say. And it's like, what? Every good line came from her. And you're gonna cut all of them? What are we doing? What's happening? And then like they're running around the thing with the sword out and everything, and it's just sort of like, he's not even supposed to be able to draw it. He's supposed to have all these other things happening.
It's Eilonwy who takes the sword. Taran can't touch it, and that's the point.
It feels thematically just sort of like muddled in the sense that like he's supposed to be realizing that like there's more to life than daring and adventure, and if you're going to be having a big adventure, you have a responsibility to conduct yourself in a particular way, and it is reckless, dangerous, and irresponsible to do the exact thing he's doing in the movie. But in the movie, it's being framed as a big hero moment, and that makes it sort of thematically confused when he gets to the end of the movie, and then he's like, I've learned my lesson, I don't need the sword and everything, and it's just like, well, but it's not initially framed as him making a mistake. It's not initially framed as him doing a bad thing as he's running around with this sword and being horribly reckless and everything. It's framed as him being, fuck yeah, heroics. And it makes for a very tonally confused sort of thing. So that was what sort of annoyed me. The actual watch itself was just sort of, if it was its own thing, I think it was easy to compartmentalize because I didn't have the emotional attachment to the book. So I could sort of think about it from the sort of detached place of how it wasn't lining up. But it didn't really affect, just sort of like, oh, it's a decent flick. Kira was having to explain a lot of the animation side of it to me because she has like a degree in like animation history. So I was like, why does it look so awful? And she was like, I know exactly the way that they rigged this up and why it looks so weird. And there's like preliminary 3D effects that I know about from the history of Walt Disney's animation company. And then she starts really getting into the technical details. And I was like, I have no idea what any of this means. And she's like, go get me a piece of paper. I will draw you a diagram. And she drew a diagram of exactly how all the animation was done and why it looks just like these animated characters are still standing in front of a green screen.
Also, apparently the scene at the end where the Horned King's undead army is like coming out and going off to conquer places was deemed too scary or something in test runs, so they cut a bunch of that content, and that's why the scene is so jerky, because they didn't like redo any of it, so it's just has like these big gaps.
And there's no way to see the original? That's too bad.
Yeah, there's no way to see the original.
I remember seeing that as a kid and being horribly, horribly freaked out by all the skeletons and everything. And then watching it as an adult, it was one of my favorite scenes. I was like, this is so, what the fuck? Wow, it's so convenient that he's in the castle specifically that all the skeletons are in. Was he just hoarding them this whole time?
So many skeletons, that's how you know he's a villain. It's for his evil plot later.
Really evil real estate agent to grab that place.
I will say, after watching The Black Cauldron, Disney said, don't you want to watch The Sword and the Stone next? You know, similar era. So we did, and oh boy, Sarah, I think you got off easy, honestly. Because that movie's a hot mess.
Yeah. I am pretty sure that I have watched The Sword and the Stone, but I do not remember anything about it.
I remember finding it mind-numbing as a kid, because I remember the title promised me swords, and sword did not show up until very end of movie, and I remember being like, what the fuck? I came here for swords, and you did not give me sword? It's just a bunch of hijinks? I didn't sign up for hijinks, I signed up for King Arthur doing cool shit. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I was so mad.
Yeah. So we don't have to go into that, but that did, I think, make me view The Black Cauldron better by comparison.
It would have been so much worse.
Yeah.
The Black Cauldron gained in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both movies do have scenes where women sexually harass some man and there's some comedic situation involving someone with very large breasts. There are some parallels in terms of just like, what if we take some incredibly complex characters and just boil them down to...
Squish them between two big titties.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just really what we need is the sort of Walt Disney 80s equivalent of a big titty goth GF, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, every movie needs that. Let's be real.
Really adds to the flavor of the movie, you know? It wouldn't be the same without it. A very necessary addition.
That the lingering shots of Fluter, who has been turned into a frog, getting suffocated by the witch's breasts, were just
They're
like,
really...
someone is having a great day in the animation studio.
This man is drawing with one hand.
Yeah.
Just having the time of his life.
That scene bothered me so much. I mean, all of the scenes in the movie bothered me so much, but...
there is something really gross about, because in the book they're like fascinatingly weird and complex and mystical and almost sort of like these they're so ancient and old that they almost defy, again, they defy categorization, and their logic is weird, and they're sort of like, it's like they're speaking in riddles because their brains have sort of been jumbled up by how long they've been alive, that everything's just sort of all jumbled up in their heads, and it's like you can almost can't make sense of what leaps in logic they're going to make, and that's really interesting. And then they just flatten them to like in this to just, oh wow, that one's got big tits and really loves an old man who's not attractive. Isn't that weird? Isn't that quirky? And it's just like, Jesus, that's
I think
this movie hates the idea of a complex female character in a way that's really infuriating to me.
And I think that's my problem with the movie, is that it takes everything that's interesting about the books and what the books are doing, and just flattens it and reduces it and
Yeah.
makes it a very standard or even substandard like fantasy adventure. And that annoys me because the books
Yeah.
are doing interesting things with the characters and like the character arcs and the archetypes, and that's all just, it becomes stereotypes in the movie.
Yeah. They took the general framework of the books and decided to make it more of a sort of generic paint by numbers fantasy adventure. And it's like, if you wanted it to be a generic paint by numbers fantasy adventure, you could have just done that. You could have just changed the names or something. But then you don't have the same sort of brand recognition for all the diehard Black Cauldron fans that were alive in the 80s.
Or even the night. I mean, I'm pretty sure that because I owned it on VHS. And I'm pretty sure that my parents got it for me immediately when it came out. It was not released on VHS until 1998, even though the movie came out in 85.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. It like bankrupted the movie and almost like destroyed the studio.
It did really terribly, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why.
The Wikipedia page talks a little bit about it. I don't remember the details. But so there were diehard Black Cauldron fans when it came out. I was one of them.
As a slacker who did not manage to read 2 entire children's novels for this conversation, where does the story, like,
you were busy having a child.
At what point, where do the books change over? Like, where's the end of the first book and the beginning of the second book in the story?
So the Horned King in the first book is not going for the Black Cauldron at all. And we lose.
He's going after Henwin, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
he's looking for Henwin.
Yeah, he's still looking for Henwin, but there's
he already has the Black Cauldron because he has undead guys already.
Yeah, he has
Yes,
there's the Cauldron Born at the beginning.
Yeah, the Cauldron Born are already there, and then so Henwin runs away, and Taryn goes after her, and they end up getting captured by Queen Acheron, I think is her name, who is big mad at the Horned King because he's her ex-boyfriend and he like fucked her over and took the cauldron from her, etc., etc. And so she imprisons Gwydion Taryn, and Eilonwy is like her ward or something. And so Eilonwy shows up, rescues Taryn, and Taryn's like, no, my friend is still here. We've got to rescue him too. But he doesn't give any specifics. So instead of rescuing Gwydion, she accidentally rescues Fluter Flam, the bard. And then they run away and save themselves, etc., etc. And then book 2 is the Black Cauldron has...
No, because I got to
the book of
the
3,
like... The Beorn, there's a Beorn scene, except it's not Beorn. His name is like Meduin or something.
Yeah.
And he lives in this valley with a bunch of animals and everything's wonderful. And that's about halfway through book 1.
Doesn't the Horned King get like fucking killed at the end of the first book or something? There's some big bad that gets just completely murdered off page or something like that at the end of it, I thought. Unless I misunderstood. There's like some big battle and then Taryn gets knocked out and everything, and then they're like, yeah, we fucking smoked him or something.
Yeah, that is the Horned King.
Yeah. And then there's the Anuvin was like the overarching sort of villain, I think, right?
Aron, and his the land that he's from is Anuvin.
Yeah. But yeah, there's that as well. That was very Battle of the Five Armies kind of a thing, just knocking him out, and then oh my god, you just missed it. all the crazy stuff. And then he tries to draw the sword and he can't manage it and everything. There's even that whole section and everything. I see how the way that they cut it up would work on paper. I think that like if you were going to adapt these books into a movie in the 80s, on paper that's about as decent a job as I think you could do it. I think it would have worked very much a lot better as some sort of animated show or something, like 20-minute increments or something for a few episodes. I think that would have been a much better format, but they didn't have that back then, I assume. So I kind of get why they chopped it up that way and tried to streamline things, but it's also just sort of like there's so much you miss. Even again, not to bring it back to the idea of how much this movie hates the concept of a complex female character, but like Eilonwy is like the witches in the second book. This sort of fairy logic or fairy sort of like her brain works in this very weird, almost autistic sort of way and everything that is fascinating to me and really interesting with the conclusions she makes and the conclusions Taryn makes and everything and the way that it influences their whole relationship. And like she very clearly has a crush on him that she's sublimated and just like just hold it in and just get mad at him and that will get you to some sort of success and everything. It's really interesting and they're just sort of flattening it into just nothing. There's nothing there in the movie and that's just sort of like god damn it. So like they streamlined it so much that they took out all the things that make it what it is.
I mean, they take out all of the nuance, yeah.
Yeah.
I think watching the movie first kind of ruined my interpretation of Eilonwy in the book because I kind of held that characterization of her, and in the book she's right every time.
She is right every time.
It feels like the book is not giving her credit for that, although maybe it's just Taryn who isn't, and I'm bringing baggage from the movie.
That's what I read it, of him just being young, stupid, and a boy.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I do think that the book posits Eilonwy as being correct every time she's correct, which is most of the time. And Taryn just doesn't recognize it because he is young and dumb and initially focused on his own glory and how he can be like a hero. And so his journey over the course of both, you know, the first two books, but also the series as a whole is him recognizing that being a hero is more than wielding a sword and, you know, going rah rah.
Yeah. All of the quotes that I pulled out, I realized were dialogue, except for one, which was the prose itself, that said, despite her chattering, Eilonwy kept a rapid pace. And her chattering was her saying, no, you idiot, I was right all along. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. It felt very much like girls be talking and shopping kind of thing.
I do think you're right that there is a little bit of that in the prose because it was written in the like early to mid 60s and
by an old white man.
Yeah, like that's kind of the attitude that men had towards women and girls, and that does reflect. But I think that a lot of the more overt stuff, or not that was less overt, but a lot of the more
there's some systemic misogyny that we haven't broken down, but the purpose of the book is that she's right.
Yes.
There's a scene that I think is emblematic of this in book 2 that I really liked, where Taryn gets this sword and he goes over to her and everything, and she's like, "Can you fasten it on me?" and everything, and she's initially very flattered and everything. He's like, "Oh wow, yeah, of course, yeah." And then he's like, "Yeah, you're like the only girl in the castle, so of course I had to come to you." And she's like, "Well, Jesus, okay, fine. If I'm the only girl, I was feeling special for a minute there. Jesus, you almost had me. God, you find someone else to do it. What's wrong with you?" It's like the way it's framed is there's a little bit of framing of that was just sort of like, God, women, am I right? It's just never grateful when you ask them to put your sword on for you or everything. But also fundamentally, it's also the judging Taryn because like he's confused and doesn't understand what he did wrong. So there's also a bit of a vibe of like, look at this fucking idiot. He doesn't even understand why she's mad at him.
Yeah.
So there's like the line between how much of it is this Taryn's perspective and how much of it is author's sort of, it's razor thin. There's a bit of both happening.
I'm back. The littlest fiction fan needed attention.
Oh yes, of course. We're gonna need his review of Green Eggs and Ham soon.
Yeah. I did. I read the first couple of chapters out loud to him, and it was very funny because
Oh,
the
that's
first
cute.
time I tried reading the first chapter, he just cried the whole time. He was like, "I do not like
Oh
this."
no.
I think that was just because he needed to burp, but
Oh
I've
yeah.
decided to interpret it as a review of the novel instead.
I mean, Cookie also barked every time Henwin appeared on the screen, so that was a review of the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I think somehow. Well, okay. Again, I only read the first half of the first book, so it's possible it gets turned around later. But I think Gurgi is worse in the book than in the movie somehow.
I liked. This is gonna be my hot take. I like movie Gurgi better than book Gurgi. I thought he was adorable.
These are hot takes. These are very hot takes.
I thought he was adorable in the movie. I loved his stupid little voice, just everything he was doing. I loved everything about him in the movie. In the book, part of it was I read the audiobook. It might have been the guy was doing a really weird voice that really got on my nerves. So that might have been part of it. I liked his voice a lot less than the voice for the animated one. But all the rhyming event, it started to grate on me over time.
Munchings and munchings.
I know. But
Like,
also
all of that weird stuff and the like kind of unreliability and quirkiness totally worked for a random animal companion.
Mhm.
Very strange as a human being.
He's not a human being though.
They call him a wild man. He's like,
they pulled Terran aside at one point, and he's like, listen, Gurgi exists in an existentially terrifying half-state between man and beast. Are you taking notes, Terran? Remember this. He's in a horrifying half-state where he is neither man nor beast, and will never truly be at home in any society. It's like, Jesus, okay. Damn! He lives a tortured existence, Terran. Please remember this.
The like uncivilized wild man thing didn't sit well with me.
I mean, he is, so I view him kind of like a werewolf. He's described as this humanoid figure that's shaggy like a wolfhound. So he's neither man nor beast. He's not fully human.
I think the thing
but
about
not really an
werewolves
animal
is that they
companion.
turn into wolves. Isn't that their whole thing? Is turning into like an actual wolf?
It depends on the style of werewolf.
That's fair. There's some that'll be like the 1930s horror movies where it's just a dude in a fursuit or whatever.
Yeah, and that is Gurgi, dude in a fursuit.
Yeah, that's
like that. I do like the idea of Gurgi as the wolf man from like the 1930s or whatever the fuck. That's good.
Basically how I've always imagined him.
Yeah, this is part of where seeing the movie as a kid sort of influenced me. I was just picturing the cartoon in my head, but maybe a little bit taller. Mm-hmm. I like the idea. If I pictured him as this sort of horror movie monster that's like this funky little dude, that might change my perspective a little bit, honestly. Now, the more I'm thinking about that, goddamn, that's a great visual.
You're welcome.
Maybe I gave him attributed too many human traits to him, but I was like, this is just an adult man who cannot handle himself. And that is really frustrating. Yeah. Like, not that I was annoyed with him, but like,
why is he on the quest?
The way the character was handled, I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
He should be just a quirky little animal companion. Like, that worked.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite as human as you're attributing to him.
Fair enough. Because they were just like, he's a guy with messy hair, and I was like, yikes.
That would, I can see why, if that's how you were reading him, I can see why that was very yikes.
Yeah.
I do think that he gets much more of an arc in the movie. I mean, not that he doesn't go through character development in the books, because he does, but it's more over the course of the series and less over the course of the first two books. But in the movie, I mean, he gets to be the one who sacrifices himself because he realizes that the power of friendship is more important than his fear, and that's what teaches Terran that it's not all about swords, and it's the emotional climax of the movie.
I feel weird that Gurgi got the big emotional climax because, like, number one, there's I mentioned this to Kira when we were watching it, where it's like, he already tried to give the witches his crunchings and munchings. That's a pretty selfless act. He really loves those crunchings and munchings. So he's already done something for someone else. And I mean, it's not quite the same scale of sacrifice, but it's like the through line of him learning not to be selfish is not quite as clear as with like Taryn. But I also understand, like, you can't, if you reverse the dynamic, it's going to be weird to have Gurgi plead with the witches or whatever the fuck. But also, it's like, I can kind of see how it would have been a lot more compelling if Taran was the one to throw himself in or whatever, or learning that sort of self-sacrifice. I can kind of get, because
Well, Taryn was prepared to throw himself in. He was going to.
I know, but also it's not the same if he doesn't have the follow through. Someone take it's like if I was gonna say it's like if Frodo was on top of Mount Doom, but I guess that is exactly what happened on top of Mount Doom. But it's also like it's like if Frodo was on top of Mount Doom, genuinely about to throw the ring into the fire, and then Gollum came and snatched it away, and it's like, well, that doesn't hit the same at all. The reason that works on Mount Doom is Frodo's like, the ring is mine, and then everything happens. If Frodo was completely prepared to throw the ring into the fire, and then Gollum comes in and steals it anyway, that undercuts the emotional significance of that moment. Someone is like, oh, hey, you're about to make a really, really difficult, emotionally resonant decision that's going to tie your character arc in a little bow. How about I come in and just yoink that away from you, and you can just reject a sword later? It's like, I don't know. It felt weird that his arc happened after the climax. The climax comes in and everything, and then as a neat little bow at the end of the movie, he's like, "Oh, me too, by the way. I also had a character arc." I don't know. I see why they did it that way. I think it would have been weird and difficult to do it any other way within the constraints that they had. But it's also like I would have respected the movie better if they committed to just having them absolutely fucking, if they made Taron take the jump.
That would have been wild.
That would have been so wild. Come back to life and everything. They just have Eilonwy bargain with the witches or something, and that's her big character moment or some shit like that. That would have actually, like, come on. I'm writing this movie for them. Hire me to write the live action adaptation.
Well, the live action adaptation, if there ever was one, there was talk at one point.
I remember that.
It was going to get some kind of reboot. But I would hope that it would be more faithful to the books and less a remake of the movie.
Oh, fingers crossed. They would absolutely, because all those live action movies are like importing every ounce of extra content they can get. Just be like, we're for adults now, instead of that lame, stupid children's stuff. So they're trying to inject stuff from extra source material and everything. They would absolutely pull from
Remember how everyone loved "We'll Make a Man Out of You"? Let's take that out entirely.
Right, yeah. Why, you're coming to see Mulan because you wanted a musical? Idiot. Like, what's wrong with you?
The Black Cauldron, the musical.
Yes, there we go.
Actually, though.
Perfect.
I mean, I'd watch it.
That does sound actually, that would actually go really good for a stage adaptation. Oh, I do want to see that. Wow. I need Taran's "I Want" song immediately. He would have such a good "I Want" song. Oh my god.
And I would watch the heck out of that.
That would be really cool. The movie is so boring that we actually have to write fan fiction about it in order to make it better.
Well, was there anything else that we wanted to cover?
I mean, I can complain more about things.
We can keep going if you want. I mean, you have the whole Gurgi going into the Cauldron versus Eladier. There's, what else is there? There's the comparisons to Lord of the Rings, so we already sort of touched on that.
Yeah.
We covered that, yeah.
And I mean, we didn't talk about Eladier, who's a character in book 2 who goes into the Cauldron instead. And even though basically from the moment the Cauldron dilemma is introduced, you know that it's going to be Eladier, it still felt more emotionally satisfying than Gurgi going in, I think.
I remember texting you as I was reading the book, being like, they've got the Cauldron, the only way to destroy it is for someone to willingly climb inside. If only there was some character obsessed with honor and glory and making a name for himself, who is reckless and doesn't have time for a character arc, who might need to
get redeemed,
to do something, to get redeemed, who has missed his shot at glory. I wonder if maybe but no, there's no character who fits that bill in this plot. So unfortunately, I don't think they're going to find a way to destroy this one. But it did genuinely, to your credit. It's like you see it a mile away, but it's also like, yeah, it's a credit to how well these themes are crafted and the things that it's meditating on are laid out, that you can track the through line of like, okay, well, this is a book that's about this thing, that's about like maturing and accepting responsibility for your actions and everything. Here's a character who doesn't do that. They will need a chance to do that. You can kind of plug in what that happens. It shows you how well that all of this is laid out, as opposed to the movie that I might be more angry about it than I thought I was. Now, I was.
Yes, join
it all
me
just
in my
washed
anger.
over me. It all just washed over me, and I was all analytical about it, like yesterday when I was watching it. But the more I discuss it, the more I actually dig into it, I'm like, damn, yeah, the movie's ending was very thematically muddled and was not really very clearly laid out at all. Oh my god, no, yeah, because like, what the fuck? Yeah, they took away the big hero moment. If I could, I think it would have been really cool if Taran in the movie was this weird mishmash of Eladier and himself in this sort of way. Because we've already got like the whole scene with him with the sword running around the castle with his proto lightsaber. Because you got to cash in on that because it's the '80s and everything. So it's like he's running around with that. He's acting like Eladier and everything. And a lot of the framing is sort of like has more in common with Eladier than with the person Taran is sort of becoming in the books. I think it would have been cool to have him as this sort of mashup character who willingly crawls into the thing.
I do think that it would have been better as a mashup, but that's not what we got. I can also complain about some of the design decisions, but we don't need that.
No, wait, no, I do want to hear about the design.
Why is Gurgi a adorable little animal friend? I don't know, but I loved it.
Why is he on the mop?
Why is there budget Esmeralda in one random castle scene?
No, I love her. I love her. She was great.
Why is Eilonwy's light bauble just basically Tinkerbell? Why is Eilonwy Princess Aurora?
Listen.
Literally.
I will take no besmirching of Esmeralda. She was the only ethical source of breasts in the movie at all. So you gotta get them in where you can't. No.
We don't know if it was ethical though, because she's in the villain lair.
Yeah, you're right.
Is she being coerced to be there?
I mean, I feel like she would not be dancing as vigorously as she was.
But that could be because she's under the pain of death.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. I am victim blaming.
Ethics and sex work, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're so right. Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe
if the Horned King believes in one thing, it is ethical sex work.
I mean, maybe he does. We don't know.
Sex workers. Fucking. Oh, God.
And then
Horned King, the very rare W for the Horned King.
And then this is also not really a complaint per se, but Henwen was way more adorable than she's described in the books. Like in the book, she's described as this
so she's
big old pig.
Yeah, she's a pig.
Yeah, and she's this like tiny little cute thing in the movie. She's very Disney. She's a very adorable. Very Disney adorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an out of the loop question. So in the movie, Eilonwy is a princess who was presumably also kidnapped by the Horned King. It's not really gone into. But then at the end, he calls her a scullery maid. And I was like, whoa, is that a thing? Because she's been a huge bitch about being a princess and Taran being a pig keeper through the whole movie. And I was like, was that all a smoke screen? Is she not actually a princess? That's such a great twist. And then it's not brought up again at all. So I think maybe I was just inventing some things there.
I think that was just an invention. She is a princess.
What if it was all a front? That would have been neat.
That would have been so cool.
That would have been
great.
But the movie doesn't do interesting things like that.
No. So in the book, she is Queen Akron's niece. Yeah. And it was like from the sea folk or something. Kind of elfy in a way. And she was sent there to learn sorcery.
Princessing and sorcery, yeah.
Now I don't think they actually call her a princess. At least not in the parts that I've gotten to.
She is actually a princess.
Okay. Because they focus much more on the sorcery, which also, hey, wow, more interesting.
Yeah, not present in the movie at all.
Yeah, no, she couldn't have a personality.
Oh, no, you're right, because she can hold the sword that only royalty are supposed to hold.
Yeah.
So she must be just, But they focus more on the sorcery part.
Also, why are the fair folks like Keebler elves in this? I thought that they were just like regular, just sort of Tolkien-esque elves in the books.
They are in the books. They are so twee
Yeah.
in the movie. That
I
also
didn't know
bothered
that
me a
was
lot.
Yeah, no, that was really. I was like, what is this? What's happening? I thought that they were just normal elves, not just like the fucking. Oh, Jesus, that was frustrating. I like the elves in the books, and then suddenly they're like, yes, we'll shrink them down so they're Smurfs.
Yeah. There are a lot of decisions, like design decisions, that are just unhinged and not in a good way.
Yeah, we can take
Uh,
unhinged in a good way.
Unhinged in a good way is fine. I'm here for that, but
I'm an
I'm
expert
going to
at unhinged
argue,
in a
I
good
think
way.
making Henwin an adorable pig is not an unhinged design decision.
no.
I do.
The
I-
rest
I'm-
of those things I agree with you, though.
I am excluding that decision because I'm not actually complaining about that. It just it was something I noticed, but not something that bothered me.
Imagine if Henwin was this massive, like 3 times the size of Taran. Just
Like, I think that would have been funner.
that leash is
But-
doing nothing and is there purely for decoration.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
in
kind
both the movie and the book, he's like, "Oh, I'll just grab her and stop her from running away." Pigs are huge.
Yeah.
Well, and noticeably, he doesn't succeed in in the book.
That's true. That's just him being
For-
self-assured.
Yeah, a 14-year-old boy who thinks that he can do everything because he's going to be a hero.
Classic 14-year-old boy move. I will just tackle this horrible behemoth that's 3 times my size. How hard could it be? It's very I could fight a bear kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Do
Yes.
you guys remember the teacup pig, like, no, I'm not going to say craze, but trend from a while ago?
Yes, I
Where
do.
celebrities would adopt a teacup pig,
Yeah.
and then it turns out that's not a thing
And
No.
just, yes.
at all.
They were just adopting baby pigs and they
Yeah.
just
Yes.
get really big.
Henwen is very much a teacup pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fantasy novel, so you can do that, or movie, I guess. But
Yeah, because I would not call her a teacup pig in the book.
No. Also, why do they're just like, oh, we're gonna send her home, and then you never see her again at like the 2/3 the way through the movie. They just like the fair folk are like, we're gonna bring her home safe, and it's like, I feel like Lloyd Alexander would be very upset with this change because his whole thing is like you have a responsibility and you have to see it through.
I
So,
mean, yeah, Terran's whole thing is he's going to bring back Henwen, and then the king of the fair folk says, "Oh, don't worry about it, I got her," and he's like,
don't
okay.
worry, you have a climax you have to take part in.
Lloyd,
a sacrifice you need to sidestep and totally avoid.
Yeah.
Lloyd Alexander
Yeah.
apparently had polite things to say about the movie.
I was wondering.
He did note that it was very different from the books, but he was polite about the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I want to get his behind the scenes opinions. I really wish that would be so good. Oh, I wish he was less polite. I feel like I could. I need those opinions. That would be really cool. Unfortunately, he's dead, I believe. But
He is dead. He died in 2008, I think. I remember being in English class learning that. I think because we were on computers that day or something, and I saw a news article or something and being very sad.
oh, that's devastating.
I mean, I wouldn't call it devastating per se.
Okay.
It wasn't like that level of sad.
Oh, I thought you were like ride or die for this guy.
I mean, I love the Chronicles of Prydain, and I like his other books too that I've read, but
Conveniently, the books exist after they die.
yes.
That's true. Yeah. No, it's if the best he could say about it is that they're different, that does seem. I think that says a lot in and of itself.
Well, I think that I've gotten to the end of my complaining. I mean, I can complain some more, but it's just going to be repetitive at this point, so there's not really any need for that.
That's okay.
If you
you
could
feeling
only
better now?
change one thing about the movie, what would it be?
Oh,
You had to pick one thing to
Oh
change.
my god.
If
Oh
I
my god.
could-
You can't do this to me.
change one
Ah.
thing. I think it would be Eilonwy's characterization.
Yeah.
Because I think that's I don't want to say it's the most disappointing thing, because everything is so disappointing about the movies.
So many, yeah.
But I think that it would go a long way to making me feel better about the movie if Eilonwy was more active the way she is in in the books.
I
And
agree.
if she was a little less damsel in distress.
Yeah. I think making her closer to her book counterpart also has these sort of downstream effects where it would change a lot of the thematic framing that would bring it more in line with the books. And I think that if you could change one thing, that would be the sort of linchpin change you could do to try and bring it more in line with the complex sort of nuances that are being discussed by the book.
Yeah.
Interesting. So no one is choosing more frogs getting smushed by witch titties.
I mean, if we could have two things, that's definitely top of the list.
Top 3, but not top 1. That's fair. Okay.
For sure.
And like with the perspective of an adult who has seen a lot more adaptations now, I can kind of understand why they made the changes that they did to the plot and why they chose to condense the 2 books in this way. I still don't like it, but I can be a little bit more charitable about it now than I could when I was 8. So I don't necessarily think that they need to do a lot of changing to the basic framework of the story. It's just a lot of the characterization.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And like, you know, as much as I love Gwydion, you don't need him in there.
Yeah.
Because then you get just it, like the movie gets too crowded and it goes pretty fast anyway, but
long as the major beats the thing about the books is they're paced in this way where it's like each chapter forms like this little thing that a character does to demonstrate a degree of growth, and as long as those beats are getting hit, I think a lot of the characters can sort of get shuffled around a little bit or streamlined in a way, as long as those character beats are still there.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Connor, thank you. I would say thank you for joining us, but really I should say thank you guys for letting me hop on to this conversation that I did not prepare for.
I realized I at no point introduced myself or explained anything about what my whole deal is. You just said my name and I'm like, oh, they know who I am.
Hey, who are you?
I'm an author, SPIFBO finalist. I have 2 books out, The Falls, All There Is, and The Diplomacy of the Knife, about quadruplet royals in a civil war for the throne in a weird science fiction, fantasy, post-apocalyptics. There have been 2 apocalypses and everything, and I write a lot of weird, crazy shit. The craziest shit you've ever seen with pacing that feels like you're having a heart attack. And you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at the CM Caplan and on Blue Sky as CM Caplan Writes. And yeah, and I've done a number of podcasts with you, and I doubt anyone listening doesn't know who I am at this point.
Yeah, if you've been listening to our podcast, you know Connor. Go follow Connor on all the things.
If you haven't been following me already since like 2021, what are you doing? Why are you even listening to this podcast?
I mean, maybe they're just big fans of Lloyd Alexander.
True, yeah. I gotta get the Lloyd Alexander fans on board. That's so important.
It's true. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fiction Fans.
Come disagree with us. We're on Blue Sky and Instagram at FictionFansPod. You can also email us at fictionfanspod@gmail.com or leave a comment on YouTube.
If you enjoyed the episode, please rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and follow us wherever your podcasts live.
We also have a Patreon where you can support us and find exclusive episodes and a lot of other nonsense.
Thanks again for listening, and may your villains always be defeated.
Bye.